we took 1 week off, but this has been some run, Coach Goodell. Coach Goodell and I live 9 a.m. our new time, so we could have our morning cup of Joe together, talk some wrestling, talk some current events going on in our sport. A lot of Rutgers fans have been following along. We really appreciate you guys. Please ask questions, call in on FanCred, and be interactive with us because we're looking forward to answering things that are on your guys' mind and just keeping the excitement around the program, keeping the excitement around us. I'm rocking my Hansel and Gretel shirt today. Got enough meals when I was there to get a free shirt, so got to rep them. That was my favorite spot on campus to eat. But had an exciting week in the wrestling world this last week, Goody. Just a lot of news in and out, not all good. I had to back out of that Flow Wrestling match due to an injury, and Stanford just recently dropped their program. So there's been some heavy splashes in the wrestling world. On your end, have you been involved in anything with the Stanford talk with other coaches chiming in, maybe creating game plans to combat this?
Yeah, man, this is it has been wild. It's been a crazy 48 hours with the news of Stanford. There's been so many things circulating through the media. What we're going to do? What does it look like coming back to campus from a Rutgers standpoint? What does it look like coming back to competition from a Big Ten standpoint? I read, obviously everybody read last night, getting back for football wise, Big Ten only. And then immediately the text started going with our Big Ten coaches, so we could touch on that. What are we going to do? And just to add a little bit to that, it was a lot about meeting Monday as a conference, all the head coaches, and coming up with a plan on doing our schedule from just a Big Ten only standpoint. So the state was a bomb, and the million texts you should get this guy, you should get that guy, and all I'm thinking as we lost another program. I'm not thinking about getting any other guys, and that's just the way I am. Maybe I should be, but that's not where I'm at. For me, it was about another wrestling program, Stanford, a $23 billion endowment, and they're losing 11 sports programs, not just wrestling, 11 sports programs across the board. So that's just frustrating as all heck. A lot of emotions. High school football, as you know, I got my son. So is that going to be canceled? Is that going to be moved to spring? There's just so many things going on right now. And to be honest, Ann, I don't really have the answers. And then to start the week, it was you not being able to wrestle. So got to answer those texts. Everybody's freaking out. What's wrong with Anthony? What's wrong with Anthony? Well, he has an injury and he doesn't want to risk it. So, and that's all I would elaborate on that. So,
yeah, I got David Bugan giving me a ring right now. He's not watching our show live. Come on, David. Come on.
I asked him about the check you had to sign, and he feel like you need to call you. He knows we're a 9 o'clock spot. He's got it.
I know. I thought he was a loyal viewer for us. But with the Flow Wrestling match, man, it's very unfortunate. But I have a back injury right now I'm dealing with that I need to take some time off so it doesn't get to a point where I'm going to need a surgical repair or some major time off, just because there's an announcement that there might be a World Championships in December and Olympics are now maybe still Olympic trials in April next year. I got to be ready to go. Those are the big goals for me, and those are a lot more important than maybe a money match or an exciting matchup. Although it was a great opportunity, and I'm really bummed that I had to back out of it. For me, I'm dealing with an injury that I tried to push through a little bit too much already, just training for it, and it got a little bit worse. And I just can't really risk it at this point in my career. 3 surgeries in. I'm not looking to go down that road again, man. I want to stay healthy and stay on that grind and stay on that path to be an Olympic world champ. And I think that it was too much of a risk to set me back even further. Just weighing the risk out to go out there, fly out there on the match. Not the best preparation, not the best training environment for me. And just not really, I wasn't even wrestling. I took 3 weeks off. I wasn't wrestling. I was just trying to cross train, stay in shape. I was eating really clean, swimming, riding a bike, but I wasn't running. I wasn't wrestling. And then I tried to wrestle last week. I had an MRI and the doctor actually recommended probably not wrestling because he's like, you could, there's a chance you won't get more hurt, but there's also a chance that it gets a lot worse. And I was like, all right, I'll see how I feel. I tested it out versus some quality guys. And, I was just really beat up just from two wrestling workouts in 1 week, which is very unlike. I mean, my training schedule is pretty intense. I felt like it was just like I can't handle 2 workouts that are three days separated apart. I don't think I'm going to be able to wrestle Luke Pletcher in a high quality match right now. And I just weighed that out, made that decision for myself. A tough decision, obviously, and You know, I'm a
Do you
kind of
lean on anybody with that, Ant? Do you lean on? Do you
I
talk?
do, but like being 25 years old now, it's different than
Yeah,
being 17, 18. It's kind of a decision that I got to make for myself. And all the people were like, hey, like you got to make that decision. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Like it's up to you. And at first I was like just hard nosed about it. I was like, listen, I'm hurting, but I know I could still compete. Like when it comes down to it, I'll suck it up and I'll win. I'll get my hand raised. And then kind of as the weeks go on, and it's like you start thinking a little bit more clear as the competition was approaching. You know, I had 20 days and I haven't wrestled. 20 days to wrestle and I haven't wrestled in 3 weeks. It's like, all right, like let's try to wrestle and see how it feels. And it doesn't feel great. It's like that's where I was at.
yeah. Those are. I mean, I'm always thinking like how many times you were banged up during the Big Ten schedule. You know, during that January, February months.
Yeah.
Knowing you have Big Tens coming up, and did you just kind of? I'm going to suck it up because the team. I remember you wrestled Michigan maybe your sophomore year. You were really hurt, and we kind of
Yeah.
needed you. And you're like, all right,
Yeah. I
I'm going to
wrestled
do this.
Zach Hall, I think. Zach Hall that match.
Yeah. So
Yeah, for sure. It's a different, that's the other thing. Like in my head at first, I was like, this is an MMA kind of schedule. Like you wrestle injured a little bit, not injured. Like who really cares? You strap it up and you battle. And that was my mindset at first. And then just kind of weighing it out like, well, it's not an MMA schedule, man. Like it was a really good opportunity to make some money, but that's not my goal in this sport, man. I want to be the greatest. And to be the greatest, it's a short window. And I can't risk like getting set back to not accomplish what I want to accomplish, even if it was $1 million. So that's kind of the talk that I started going through my head. If it was Big Ten schedule, it's different. It's for the team. There's a lot more motives, but this was strictly on my own, for myself, for my own brand. And not that there was a lot of people supporting me, New Jersey and Rutgers, but I was just kind of wrestling for myself. So the decision had to be selfish.
mm-hmm. Which I think is smart, man. I think is smart. And you know, you brought up the World Championships, and it looks like in December there's going to be a World Championships. Have you heard anything from USA Wrestling? Is that something that we go back to the 10 weights? Is it going to be 70 kilos? Is it 65 kilos? Is that they're going to go World Championship weights, I'm assuming?
I'm assuming that too, but as well as I was reading on that they're going to make another vote in late August on it. So I think it's just maybe that vote in August will determine what's going on, what countries are allowed to go. They were also talking about maybe only allowing the top 8 countries that placed in the previous World Championships to go to the World Championships. So it'd be a smaller tournament, although it'd be very elite. The top 8 teams, they cover most of the medals anyway. I mean, you might miss out on guys like Frank Chamizo from Italy, though, if that was the case.
Sure.
Or hopefully they allow individuals here and there to sneak through the crack if that was the case. But I'm just hoping, even if it's not a world championship, maybe having international competitions for November, December, even domestic competition that we could get off. It'll be interesting to see the landscape of RTC wrestling, college wrestling moving forward. If this is a trend, you know, with Stanford.
Yeah.
And hopefully not. I mean, I'm really hoping and praying that they get that reversed and it's not a trend. But you know, we've seen it. Old Dominion, Stanford, many other programs before them.
Yeah, and I hate to be, you know, the Debbie Downer here, but I'm even starting to get worried, man. It's just, what does wrestling even look like in 5 years at the NCAA level? Unfortunately, you know, and I mean, who knows? Who the heck knows? It just seems like it. And I shouldn't speak for any program or any university, institution, whatever the case might be, but how is an AD, like that is your sole purpose to keep every sport there? I don't know. And I'm sure it has nothing to do. Maybe it's the president or whatever. I don't know the situation. But if Stanford's going to cut sports, I think Stanford may be the number one athletic program in all the NCAA, right? With Texas and North Carolina probably. So how does that happen at that school? There's got to be some type of your you know, pride, or you're competing to keep everything. You try to keep everything. And the fact that, because I talked with Coach Borelli, that it was just boom. He had no idea. He had no idea that was coming, and now he has a year to keep it. It's just scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it's the job I'm in, and you deal with it. And you know, all you can do. And I've had a lot of people ask, you know, how do you keep wrestling at your university important? Have relationships. Have a constant dialogue. I got on the phone right away and just talked to our administrators and where we at, what's going on, and nobody really knows, you know. But I'm like, are we in trouble? And no, of course you're not in trouble. Well, I didn't think Stanford was in trouble either. So
right,
never.
I don't think they thought they were in trouble based on the momentum they had going.
Yeah, so you have a great relationship with Kerry McCoy and been in contact with him
Yeah.
quite a bit, and he's moving his family across the country to take over that RTC program, and then boom. So
Yeah. And on top of that, man, I'm on the beach hanging out with my buddy Randy Jakubik and his family in Lavalette yesterday, and Shane Griffith goes walking by with a buddy, so I kind of got a chance to talk to him a little bit, and man, he's in the same boat. He was hanging out with his friends down in Cape May, that got the news, and he's like not a million, but he's like, I got coaches, I got people hitting me up. He's like, dude, I'm finding out right now just as well. He's like, I have no clue. He's like, I'm driving north right now to talk to my parents for the first time about it. I got to figure this thing out. He's just kind of going through the same emotions. Like, it's real time news for them, which is very unfortunate.
yeah, and I can only imagine. And the sharks get in the water, you feel for a second, you feel bad about it, and you're like, I got to go get this kid, I got to go get that kid.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like, you're right. These guys just found out they're at Stanford. They're wrestling. They're getting an incredible education.
Yeah.
And now you have to make a decision. Do I stay there and get my degree from that university, or do I transfer? And so that's what sucks for those guys, man. I couldn't even imagine if you're willing, especially the Jersey guys that are on that program or in that program, if you're going to make a decision to go all the way across the country to get a world-class education, and then now what do you do? It's just so there's a lot more that goes into it. It's a lot more than just wrestling. So that's kind of the way I look at it. And on the other end, if you're not doing your job and you don't get in touch with someone, do you not care? Or is somebody beating you to the punch? Well, at that point, I didn't care. I ended up talking to some of the coaches, high school coaches, and some of the guys that are out there, and just kind of wanted to let it go a little bit.
Yeah, I hope we're able to combat it as a team, as a wrestling society, and just maybe whether it's raising money or just fighting it politically, whatever it takes, really. This can't be a trend. NCAA wrestling is, to me, the most exciting platform for a wrestler. It would be sad to see it dwindle as time goes on here.
So just talking about the NCAA championships, the wrestling championships, I spoke to a Cornell athletic director before they made the announcements. I kind of knew they were making announcements to go all everything canceled in the fall. But even Rob Cole, they'll be ready to wrestle January 1st if there's a schedule, because we're scheduled to wrestle them in the fall. So now he wants to wrestle in the spring semester after January 1. So, But going back to the NCAA championships, I guess Anthony Holman, who chairs that, is in charge of the wrestling, the wrestling for the NCAA, says they would be very, and I don't want to be speaking out of turn. I'm not really educating everything that needs to go on, but they're willing to be flexible with our national championships because it does so well. It's one of the sports, right? Excluding, not talking about football and basketball, wrestling probably does the best when it comes to viewerships and ticket sales and everything at the national tournament. So they don't want to lose that tournament. It's very, very important to the NCAA. So they do not want to lose that. That's just what I'm hearing. So hopefully, What does that mean? Move it to April, keep it where it is. Let's not lose the tournament. So again, a lot of questions need to be answered.
Yeah, it's tough to see the Ivy League canceling fall sports, Big Ten football, just only doing a in-conference schedule for regular season. Does that mean they're going to cross-play in bowl games and national championship or playoff games as well after that schedule?
I don't know.
Does that mean you only have 6 games within conference and then the season's over, and they do rankings and wherever the cards fall, they fall?
Yeah. Maybe there's no bowl games. Maybe it's just the schedule, and people say, well, at least you got to play something. Who knows? It's I just know they need the TV, right? They need the TV money, and maybe that's why they're going to push it. But is it the safest thing to do? And then at some point, my frustration kicks in, right? And I'm going to say something really uneducated. Can we get a vaccine for this thing already? I mean, what the heck is going on? I mean, let's go. I mean, we can put a guy on the moon. Can we get something? I mean, holy heck. And I know that's a little immature to say, but
it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's been 3-4 months at this point. I think a lot of frustration settling in people. I think a big part of the population is ready to say, hey, like, let me do what I want to do. Whatever happens, happens kind of thing. And I don't necessarily disagree with that as well. I mean, I feel healthy. I feel like I could combat this thing if it came to me. Or I already had it maybe. But I'm just as frustrated, man. I just wish we could just go back to normal. Like, hey, this is a disease. Of course, it's kind of crazy. It's very deadly. And the percentages are what they are, even if they're very low, it's like that's a life. So that's a life. So we can't be messing with lives, especially kids or
Oh, no
especially
doubt.
at the NCAA level, man. It's like if the percentage is 1%, that's 1%, that that's
No, you're
something
right.
something they can't really risk. So it's like you want to play both sides of it. You're like, let's just go back to
Yeah.
normal. Then you look at it and you're like, oh, well, like you understand as well.
And then, of course, when it hits you, right? When it hits someone close to you, you're like, so that's, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. And I agree, man. I agree. And just, I guess our mottos for the last 14 shows has been wear your mask, stay safe, wash your hands. Just do that. Stop like choosing a side like it's my right not to wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a mask. You go out, you wear a mask. If that's going to help, then just do it.
100%.
That's my little rant on that.
Well, we got a guy, a good friend of mine, someone I grew up with, hanging out in the back here. Good guest for the show today. He's pursuing professional wrestling right now. Raymond Jaz. He was a former All-American for NYU University in the city. He was South Plainfield Tiger with me, 1 year younger than me. We wrestled all through grade school, played baseball together before high school. The real
Ray Jaz.
Yeah. Where's your guns, Goody? Where's your guns, bro?
I don't got guns like that. If I had guns like that, I'd be.
Representing CMS Wrestling, Columbia Middle School.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So you were coaching the what is that? Berkeley Heights Township?
Berkeley Heights and Mountainside. So they go to GL, Governor Livingston. So they brought back their middle school program last year. So it was my second year coaching those guys. And we beat my hometown.
Oh boy!
A little there, but we a great group of kids. Some of them first, second year wrestlers, and I had 7, 8 guys qualify for Kid States. Unfortunately, it was canceled. But hey, I'm still proud of those guys. But it's the world we're in now. So
is that Ray Jaz? Is that what you're doing right now? You're coaching a little bit. Obviously, your WWE career or your wrestling career is something you've taken on, and you haven't been able to do much lately because of everything going on, but you're doing a little bit of wrestling, doing a little bit of coaching.
Yeah. I mean, before this whole pandemic, I was basically doing it all. I was working for Wrestling Mindset. I was doing pro wrestling, traveling up and down, doing some stuff for WWE, doing some local shows, doing some shows in New England, in Tennessee. But then this whole pandemic hit, everything kind of got on pause. So, what's the next best thing? I started doing the podcast. I was still lucky enough to work with Wrestling Mindset, doing their marketing media, really getting great information out to all these kids and wrestlers and athletes that are struggling with this whole situation, right? One of the things you could train right now is your mindset. You don't need any equipment. You just need this, a pen and paper, a computer, and that's it.
Yeah, bro. I don't know if you were listening to us before you got on, but we were talking a little bit just about like where our minds are going with this whole situation, pandemic, with the wrestling programs getting cut, with football seasons getting shortened or only conference only. Have you heard anything on NYU side or maybe in Division 2, 3, what the plan going forward for them is going to be like in the fall or maybe winter sports, or even are they going back to school into New York City? That's the center.
Yeah, that's the hot zone. So they're on the same basis here. I talked to my assistant coach yesterday. Actually, they don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, especially New York City, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the governor's going to do. You don't know what the mayor's going to do. New York City is just crazy right now. So I think the last thing they're thinking about is sports, honestly. But it's scary, man. Especially a big school like NYU. And like you said, Stanford. Like, come on, 11 programs. But that's just the time. You don't know what could happen. You just got to control what you can control, right? There's no reason to get. I mean, you're gonna be mad, right? But what are you gonna do? It's that. Could you call the AD? Maybe rally some people up. Call the AD like they do with the local government and stuff. Why not? Why can't we do that? Where are those funds going, right? What kind of doesn't make sense to me is I know NYU at least raised their tuition. How are you going to raise your tuition with kids and have virtual learning half the year? And usually I don't like to talk about that stuff, but I just saw that like yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm like, how does that make sense?
Yeah,
Right?
it does. I saw similar people on Twitter arguing like, in my own opinion, I mean, if you're going to something like Harvard and it's online versus not, I think you're mostly going there to get that degree from Harvard and have that with you for the rest of your life. So does it matter if it's online? And if you have the paper at the end of the day and it says Harvard on it, I don't really think so. I mean, I still think that holds a lot of value. So maybe NYU's thinking the same thing. Hey, we're giving you this degree from NYU still. It's still an NYU degree. It still has value in this world.
Isn't a part of going to NYU though to be in the city? Like
be in the city, getting the connections. I mean, at that point, if you're doing virtual learning, well, why not pay cheaper? Why not do the University of Phoenix, especially if sports aren't being paid?
So you're comparing NYU to University.
No, I'm not comparing it. But I'm just talking about these other schools. Like a lot of people go to Rutgers or Florida State to play football, to wrestle. If there's no sports, what's the incentive of going to that school for some guys,
I'll guarantee you know what we're going to start seeing, especially in our sport, a lot of gap years. A lot of guys taking the toll. Our staff's even talked about it. These guys who are coming in, maybe we should give them a gap year, hold them off. That's something that's absolutely going to be looked at, and because I know that because we're looking at it. So
that's
a lot of decisions to be made. A lot of decisions. Ray Jaz, I want you to take me back what it was like wrestling with those guys in Murderers Row. You were a year younger, but certainly part of that team at South Plainfield had all those great championship years. What's it like going in that room every day with those guys? And of course it made you better, but what was it like going through it? If you could take us back to that.
Oh, going to that room, man. It was something else, man. Those practices were hard. We were all going through the grind together. And we were all wrestling since kindergarten, first grade. So we all grew up with each other. We all knew. We all wanted to compete at a very high level, and we all wanted to feed off of each other. Our role models were the local wrestlers. We wanted to be those guys wrestling under the light in the South Plainfield gym. So we always looked up to those guys. Our practices in elementary school dictated what we were going to do in middle school, and then our middle school practices dictated what we were going to do in high school. And that was all super important. It was just the community of South Plainfield, coaches, parents, everyone just come together. Like you said, the common goal, and the common goal was to be the best wrestling team in the state of New Jersey. And we accomplished that. That was the goal. Every single practice, every single drill, every single session. That's what it was. We wanted to be the best. And it was a team. It was a team-driven goal. It wasn't individuals. Everyone there was a team. We all wanted to do it together. And that was the big thing that McCann and Johnston and Anderson and Sal, that's something they all emphasized. As much as people think wrestling is an individual sport, it's not. You need your workout partners. You want to get yourself better, wrestle yourself in the mirror. That's not going to
Yeah, no, dude, that gets me pumped up hearing you talk about that. I remember so many times after practice, head coach McCann of our high school teams breaking us down. He's like, the goal is to win team states. We'll worry about the individuals after that. And every day, like big match, we lose, but maybe like a couple guys, like I remember we lost to St. Peter's, but like Corey beat I think Corey beat Lenny Richardson in the match, and like we kind of knocked off a lot of good guys individually, but we still ended up losing the team match. I remember the next day, it's like they're gonna pound us. No, they don't care. There's no reward for beating a good guy if the team lost. Like that's how it was. And I think it molded me a lot when I got to Rutgers, man. I was always really excited for the big dual meets, and I'm excited for when my teammates win. And even now when the younger guys win, and even if I don't work with them, just seeing them win and the work that they put in, I get excited for them because like you're saying, bro, it's a team. You need that. And I think we always fed off each other. You saw me, or I saw Troy or Scott or someone do well. I was like, I want to pin the dude faster than him, or I want to show him up.
Yeah.
So it was competitive that way. Yeah. It was a good thing, a great thing actually. And I'm sure Coach Goodell was doing the same thing in Jackson 10 years before us. So he set the
crazy.
table.
I'm listening to you guys talk, and that's what it was. And I just remember those South Plainfield teams, and it was all about the team and the dual meet and making it down to Toms River and the dual states. And yeah, that's the way we were at Jackson. We never got caught up in the districts and regions and states until it was districts and regions and states. It was always about the team and how we're going to get better. And who were some of the guys, Ray Jaz? Like you were lighter, right? You were lighter during those earlier years.
Yeah, I was kind of.
And I remember.
Wait. Now I'm bigger.
And you
Now
guys,
I'm bigger than all of them. I went
Yeah.
I went 103, 113, 120, and then once all those guys cleared out, I went 145. So I was
so you let
growing.
yourself, and you struggled with it a little bit, right? It
Oh,
was kind of,
yeah. Cutting
but
weight.
that was your way into the lineup, right?
Yeah, I
Was-
had to. What was I gonna do? Bump up a weight class and wrestle Ashnault, bump up another one, wrestle Scott, bump up another one, wrestle Corey. You know, so I was in that spot. I had to make the sacrifices. Did it suck? Yeah. And I tell people this all the time, my middle school guys, you don't need to cut weight. If you don't have to, you don't need to. Don't do it, please. Even the high school kids. I'm like, you guys, once you get to college, then figure stuff out. But get better at wrestling. And in high school, I was good at weight cutting. And that was it. I was going into practice, like, I wouldn't say going through the motions, but I'm like, I wasn't putting the emphasis on drilling and doing it right. I was putting the emphasis on going hard, getting this weight off, because I have to make weight and compete for my team. And that wasn't the way to do it. I mean, I could have got so much better in high school if I just switched that focus. And that's just a mindset issue. And then in college, I got better at wrestling, and I enjoyed the sport more, and I became a student of the sport and learned all the aspects to it. That's just a part of growing up too. And I cut weight anyway from the wrong way to the right way. It took me my senior year in college to do it the right way, but you know,
that's awesome advice though, because we have a lot of kids. We have a lot of kids who watch this show, believe it or not, and everybody thinks you got to cut weight. Everybody, and you probably had it set up in your mind. Oh, Anthony's going this way, Holman's going this way, Del Vecchio's going this way. I got to go this way. It's probably for you. It was a lifestyle doing it all the wrong way. So we got this. This is a pretty cool question for you. How many times a week did your rec team practice? So you obviously before high school, did you go to club practice instead of your rec practice, or was that not an option?
Yeah. So what's funny about South Plainfield is we didn't really go to clubs when we were elementary school.
Right.
It was the PAL. You know, we were there Tuesday, Thursday. I think Tuesday, Thursday was the set elementary.
Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday. We were in there rolling anyway. We would go there on a Wednesday, just rolling it with us. And then we would have middle school. I think when we were in 5th or 6th grade, we could do elementary and middle school. So we were in there all the time. But it wasn't even – it was like we had the fall sessions with the clubs. They always brought in some great people. And we didn't need to go to club. The club was right there. We were all, you know, ready to compete.
Yeah. And you're hinting at it a little bit, but in our off season, so we had Monday, Thursday through the year, and it was also Monday, Thursday, fall and spring. And we were fortunate enough in most of the – I don't know, were you spring or fall, Coach Goodell?
I was spring. I always did the spring with you guys.
And so in the fall leading up to wrestling season, it would be more like hard drilling live, just ran by South Plainfield coaches. But we invited other towns in, and in the spring, we were fortunate enough where we had a four-mat room in the PAL building, our police academy or a police athletic league building. There's 4 mats with bleachers on the sides, 4 scoreboards that stay down, banners on the wall. It's the wrestling heaven as a wrestler. You feel like you're in an you feel like you're in an international country, like at a club kind of feel. But anyway, we would have Rutgers coaches coming in the spring sessions on Monday and Thursday. So not only we going Monday, Thursday year in the spring sessions, we got Coach Goodell bringing Scott Winston and all his guys, and Frankie Yeager, John Leonardis, Brandon Becker, Corey Cooperman, Joe Pollard, all those guys we're getting our hands on. And even before Coach Goodell, we actually had Coach Shashi coming in, and he was bringing in guys. I think like Coach Foscola, our wrestling coach, was on the team at the time, and different guys. But we were so privileged. I mean, it was a full year. Like, even though we thought it wasn't a club, it was kind of a club, man. I remember a kid I wrestled in the state finals for 2 state finals, Gary Dimore. He was coming to the club in South Plainfield since 5th grade. Guys from Watchung Hills, Mike Magaldo, Murray. I mean, a lot of state finalists, state runner-up, top 5 guys in the state would just come train with South Plainfield guys because we had a group of 7 to 10 guys that were just hammers.
Yeah. So I remember, I mean, there's so many good guys came out of that club. We got Pafumi out of that club, Johnny Paz, John Poznansky was a part of that club. Those practices, our staff looked forward to doing those. And, you know, Ray Jaz, you guys came in there, man, and it was like when the South Plainfield guys came in, it was definitely a different workout. And here's what I want to know. How do you, because you don't realize it when you're going through it, how good you have it, right? You got the PAL, and you got a packed room of 80 kids on any given night. And I'm sure at Governor Livingston, they don't take to wrestling like they do at South Plainfield. So how do you combat and like somebody who doesn't have all those workout partners, all the equipment, all that stuff?
So I use examples. So I mean, Governor Livingston, we're getting there. The parents are really great. We have, one of the guys at the elementary level. He's all in it. So I'd say build your own dynasty, because they know the Tiger dynasty. They know the Tiger style. And that's part of the reasons why they kind of wanted to bring me in. They're trying to build that culture. They want that culture, right? And there's so many examples of towns that could do it. Watchung Hills, they just built their nice facility and everything. So I think they're wanting to build a facility and everything. But I told them, I'm like, guys, you got to find a way, right? So some of these guys are fortunate enough to lift at the local YMCA, or they have gyms at their houses, but they find ways. GL has a weight room, so I know the kids are in there. I'm excited for my guys. This is my first group going up to the high school, so I'm ready to see what kind of damage they're going to do as freshmen. But I just instilled them that you got to be hungry for it, because there's people that want to win, and you got to find ways. I had like 20 kids, 25 kids. I didn't have assistant coach. This year I had Ernie Monaco actually was my volunteer assistant. He was great.
It's a pretty good assistant coach.
That's a pretty good assistant.
It was like that Will Ferrell movie, that soccer movie where was the assistant coach. That's exactly how it was. But I told him, I told the kids, I'm like, you guys got to want it. This can't be a half effort. You got to come in this room full effort. I told them, guys, I don't have to be here and coach you. I want to. I want to get you guys better. I want to give you guys my knowledge. I want you guys to learn from my mistakes and love the sport. And they love it, man. That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got
That's
a question.
awesome.
We got a question bouncing right off of this. It's from Max. It says, how do you balance building culture and passion without avoiding early burnout? In my opinion, just seeing your journey, seeing you as a coach, like the kids at Governor Livingston, man, the videos you're posting them, they're so excited to be at practice. They're so excited to hear you talk. They're excited to even probably watch you compete as a professional wrestler at this point. They're excited for you. It's like you're their coach, but you also have a relationship with them where it's a little bit like of a love between you guys. They want to support you, you support them. So I think that's a big part of that, avoiding burnout. You have that relationship and you have that mission and that goal, those goals that you guys are all going for together.
Yeah, I call it mentorship. So you're not only a coach, you're their mentor, right? On and off the mat. And these kids, you got to be relatable. You got to be honest with them. You go, hey, man, what's going on? What's really happening here? Why aren't you getting better? Why aren't you competing? And you got to be honest with them, and they have to be honest with themselves. They're still in middle school. So it's, I like middle school kids because they're in such a different age group than high school kids, because they want to soak everything up and learn. You're building them from the ground up, some of these guys. So you start their habits. You want them to develop good habits right away, and that's super important. And to fire them up and not have them do burnout. Sometimes I'll have an easy practice. I'll slow it down for them. And then when it's time to pick it up, I explain, hey guys, we need to pick it up, and here's the reason why. And I said it, and if you guys wonder why you lose, this is the reason why. You got to hold yourself accountable, and they know it. And it's just the honesty factor. If you're honest with them and you relate to them, then they'll be willing to compete at a high level all the time. And just making it fun too. That they're still middle school kids. They want to have fun. And a lot of people lose focus on why they wrestle and, their true purpose of wrestling. It shouldn't be a job. It should be fun. I look back at my wrestling career in college and high school. I'm like, man, I wish I could just do that one more time. Not to just compete. You got to love competing. Win or lose, it's not the end of the world. You might get another one. You might, you might not. But once you step on that mat, as long as you gave that full effort, that's it.
Yeah, and now transitioning into like your professional wrestling career, like it's tough for me to say every time, to be honest with you. I'm an amateur and you're a professional. Like I feel like in my opinion, like you should be amateur. You guys are kind of like choreographed wrestling, like. But whatever, it's whatever.
What are you talking about? Not choreographed. Let me.
It's not choreographed.
On that table.
I know. I'm not saying like that, but but now like moving into your professional wrestling career, you still get that passion to go compete and to still put on a show. You've been in a lot of great events. You wrestled in WWE 205 Live. You've been at NXT events. You're on TLC Dragalicious show showing. I don't want to be politically wrong here, so you're just showing wrestling moves to people, and some other things in your professional wrestling career too so far. What is some of those lessons that you just talked about that you bring into this next career of yours, and where are you at with your career in that? Like, since we're in this pandemic, what is some of your next steps in that world?
Well, just like everyone else, right? Everything's kind of on pause. So you got to get the next best thing and control what you can control. We just started back training in the ring last week, so it's getting adjusted to that. And I started my podcast. That's a way to get your brand out with this new profession, right? It's not just me versus you. It's brand versus brand, lifestyle versus lifestyle. Right? You got to interact with the crowd. You got to market yourself. You got to put on social media what you're doing. I used to never post anything of me working out on my own stuff because I didn't want my opponents to see what I was doing.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're the same way, Anthony. But now you have to let the people know. You have to make that connection with people because why are they going to pay money to go and see you wrestle? So that's the big part, and that was a huge adjustment for me into this, professional wrestling. But there is a lot of similarities. If you want something, you work hard and you train and you get it. Nothing's handed to you and there's no shortcuts. So you got to do everything the right way.
What does the next 5 years look like for you in this sport? What are you
I don't know. I don't even know what next month looks like. But for me, it's like I said, and I tell my wrestlers and I tell any guys working with wrestling mindset or any wrestler that just comes to me with advice, control what you can control. What could you do today to get you closer to your goal, right? What can I do today? All right, I could study film. I could work on promos. I could, work on interviews. If I can't get in the ring today, I'm going to lift. If I can't lift, I'll go for a run. Same thing with wrestlers. Like, these high school guys and guys going to college, you got to find a way. You can't just sit on your couch. Go for your run. If you have a brother or something, hand fight them. If you have a teammate, reach out to your teammates. You guys can hand fight in the park or something. Wear your mask, hand fight in the park. But you got to find ways, instead of making excuses and feeling down on the situation, like that's no use, right? Everyone's in this situation. So I think the people coming out of this whole pandemic thing is the people that found ways. And, that Roddy Ricch song, the worst conditions make a champion, right?
I don't know that song.
Oh, you know that song. For any listeners, young listeners, you probably know that song.
Well, listen, man, I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped you came on with us this morning. I thank you for that. It's been awesome to watch you do all this stuff. I obviously follow you on your Instagram and all your social media platforms. So just keep doing what you're doing. I always tell everybody, they always ask, how did Jackson get so good? We put our most excitable coach down at the lower levels, guys that are going to put in the most time, and they got the whole town wanting to wrestle when they came to high school. You're in that same role. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring these young guys, man. And it's just awesome to see it.
Yeah, man. Where can our followers find you? The Real Ray Jaz on Twitter. What's your Instagram handle at?
All right. Instagram is just Ray_Jaz. So someone already took the one underscore. I don't know. I tried reaching out to him.
This is my thing. This is my thing.
But it's Ray_Jaz on Instagram. Twitter is @TheReal_Ray Jaz. Actually, Zach Evanesh made that one for me when I was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He's the man. And then Facebook's just Ray Jaz, and I got a TikTok. TikTok, I have the most followers on. I don't even know how to use it. It's just Ray Jaz on TikTok. So I need TikTok listeners. But Coach Goodale, Rutgers is Jersey wrestling. I even when I was at NYU, I always bragged about Rutgers, man. I'm like, I'm going home this summer. I'm training with Rutgers, man. I'm getting it on that mat with my high school teammates, and that it was contagious, just that hard work and energy at Rutgers. And if you're from New Jersey, come on, you gotta root on Rutgers, Yeah,
man.
And it's just great, the culture, Coach Goodale, you built, from when you started, and it's great to see, especially that new facility and everything. It's great for New Jersey wrestling. You're building the Tiger Dynasty right there, Scarlet Knight Dynasty, right?
Well, I appreciate it, man. And once we get to open up, we'll get you back in there training with our guys.
Yeah,
doubt
thanks.
about it. That'd be great.
I appreciate
Thanks for
you
coming
guys.
on, Ray.
Thank you.
All right, man. Ray Jaz, you're the man. Enjoy. Stay safe, brother.
Yep. Thanks,
Catch you
guys.
soon, Ray.
Yep.
Yeah, man, and that's cool to hear some of the stuff he had to say about South Plainfield. Just with elementary leads to the middle school group, and the middle school group leads to the high school group. And when people ask me what does it take to start a good program in their town, like that's what it takes. It takes open communication between all those levels and having the coaches on the same plan and having maybe some parents involved helping giving back.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy. It's not bringing in Dan Gable to teach the kids. It's not it's just giving back and giving time. And a lot of the things Ray said, man, it makes me excited that he's giving back to the community at the middle school level, because he kind of hit the nail on the head on a lot of those points. I think he said it a lot clearer than sometimes that we're talking about those things on the show. He said it a lot clearer, and it's good that he's giving back to that level. I think he kind of belongs on it.
You could tell he works a lot with wrestling mindset, because he has an idea what he wants to say when he's talking about it, man. And I'd love to be able to go back and have that knowledge back in the late 80s, early 90s. You know what I mean? Just he's right. There's so much passion there. That's so cool. But it starts at those young levels, I think. And I'll give a shout out to Jim Huxford when we hired Jim to run our recreation program. And then they got super, super competitive over the years. Those guys started wrestling 7, 8, 9 years old, and they made it fun, but they also competed. And they understood winning and losing and how important it was to the town. And, man, by the time those guys – and then you got your high school guys working with those guys. It all works together, man. It all works together. And if any coach out there is listening to this and really wants to build a successful program, start at the younger levels. Start down low, make it fun. But compete, because you have to compete. You don't have to compete a million times, but you got to compete. And by the time they're in high school, you'll have something special.
Definitely. I think Jackson and South Plainfield very similar in those philosophies and those cultures. And even hearing them say Rutgers is New Jersey wrestling, man, our group would be going to Rutgers camp. It sparked memories where like the whole South Plainfield group, 15 guys, were playing dodgeball in between sessions in the Rutgers basement in the dressing room, or we're messing around playing wiffle ball in like the center of the dorms, because we weren't staying there since we only lived 10 minutes away, and we were only like maybe 8 to 12 years old at the time. And at that time, when you took the program over, you already were Jersey wrestling. And just hearing Ray talk about that a little bit, like, I know my community in South Plainfield, we rallied around Rutgers, and our guys we were excited to come to camp. That shirt you got on is probably from one of those early camps.
I think this is like a 2009 one here.
Yes. So I just have those memories flooding back, playing wiffle ball with my buddies at 10, 11 years old, and having like the original Rutgers guys that you had, Winston and Meldy, and guys I don't even think my brother was there yet, and Langle and Delafave as my counselors, or just fooling around being a kid, and Rutgers was part of that, which is cool.
So I'm going to answer this question here about the Big Ten as best I could, but here's a quick camp story. So we get this, I think you were probably going to you were in 8th grade, and we knew you, and we knew you were good enough. Can the 8th grader come? Blah, blah, blah. Absolutely, Anthony can come. Of course you want him here. Jackson always came to camp too. So they had Hammond, right? And I know you probably know where I'm going with this. And then there was this one kid who came on his own, and he was really little, and he didn't have a team to go on. So I asked the Kingsway coach, could you put this guy on your team for the dual meets? And, he just wants to come to camp and get matches. And he's like, Scott, he's only like 96 pounds. He's going to get hurt. I'm like, trust me, he's pretty good. End up being Joey McKenna. So then we have a round robin where I think you beat Joey beat Hammond beat you, or maybe it was opposite. All three, you kind of beat each other wrestling as 8th graders at camp that year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember that. I remember being like a little, like, not Matt, like, obviously we want to wrestle, but like South Plainfield, and like some of the kids are like pitting everyone. They're like, it's like fun for that, like the whole time, just like not a joke, but like they're like, watch, I'm gonna go pin this kid in 10 seconds. And in my head, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have a battle with this kid I've wrestled my whole life that I know is a beast. Like,
yeah. But I just thought it was cool. Brian Farnham,
awesome.
Brian Farnham, the Kingsway coach, was like, I don't know, Scott. I don't know if I'm going to take this guy. He's going to get. I'm like, trust me, you want to take this guy. He's going to win a lot. Halfway through the camp, he's like, this dude's incredible.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun, man. And every year it seemed like I was wrestling Hammond or some studs at that camp. it was always good for me. And even going back now, the little kids that are at the camp at College Ave Gym in the round robin tournaments, some of those brackets, man, the kids grow up to be wrestling in the States in the semifinals together or in the finals. It's really funny how that works out.
Yeah, it's the camps, man. You know, I posted a bunch of stuff this week on 8 years ago from the rack or 7 years ago from College Ave, and so many guys have come through that camp too. And we don't necessarily do the camp from a recruiting standpoint, but you do. You get 600 wrestlers on your campus, and it was cool when we were over at the rack. But every year, South Plainfield, every year Jackson, every year there were years where Paulsboro was coming, and we took pride in that. I tell these coaches, you want to get your team better. It's 4 days, which is hard, right? It's hard because it's hot, and you really get a chance to come together, man, when you're bringing your team to camp. I always went to team camp. I always brought the Jackson teams to Lock Haven, and now we have these coaches that keep coming back. But it's a great way, you know, and it sucks that we lost them this year for sure.
Definitely does, because I'm thinking once I got to high school and we were staying overnight, they create bonds with your teammate. You create bonds with your teammates that lead into the season, that create that culture that you need. Because there's no coaches there, man. It's the kids together, and it's something real special at the high school level that, you know, you don't get that. Although you're in school together all day, you're not hanging out with the whole team. Maybe you have cliques within the team. So it's nice. That was always nice that you got together. Not that you're forced. It was always by choice, but, you know, we enjoyed it, and we always look forward to getting together during those times.
I got a question here. What does the Big Ten's decision to play only football games against conference foes mean for Rutgers wrestling? Are we looking at I touched base on this a little bit. I'll get on a conference call with all the coaches Monday, all the head wrestling coaches in the Big Ten, and we're going to try to come up with what our plan looks like, which will probably be all Big Ten, but not just dual meets, right? There'll be, you know, we've talked about this in April a little bit with the coaches, maybe tournaments, maybe an open tournament, let's say, for example, at Michigan State. They already have one, but now it's just Big Ten. And I don't know. For us, that kind of, does it defeat the purpose, right? You got to travel now. Now you got to get on a plane for the most part. So what does that look like? Is it just in the area? But I know testing-wise, the Big Ten will probably maybe have a leg up on a lot of universities. So that seems like, I guess they don't want to spread it, so keep it within one conference. So yeah, that would be pretty hard, right? Wrestling an only Big Ten schedule, that's going to be pretty hard.
For the Midwest Big Ten schools, it's a little easier, but for us, it kind of would go like opposite of the purpose of like trying to stay close to home. I think they would have to be more like, well, this is your region of the competition that you're going to stay in, where you could drive a bus to, like probably like Penn State up all the way down PA, maybe Maryland, a little circle around New York City, or the school Sacred Heart in Connecticut, things like that. That would make most sense to me, and almost not get rid of conferences, but like if that was the case, like kind of make everyone's schedule based on places they could drive to. And then at the end of the year, you have the national tournament, where that's what kind of happens anyway. You wrestle for the kid from App State or Arizona State in the first round of nationals when you haven't seen him all year, or you don't even know who he is. And I mean, that's kind of the system anyway, but you go within your conferences. And
this is a pretty cool idea too, because we talked about this with coaches. And again, I don't know if this is the way it's going to go, but so you go to Penn State and maybe you wrestle 4 duels, right? You use Saturday and Sunday to wrestle, you know, Indiana, Purdue, Michigan State, all at Penn State. You know, and they bring teams there, and maybe they can control it that way. Those are all the things we're going to talk about Monday. So I'll have all those. I don't know if I'll have answers, but we'll have a really good idea where we're going.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really believe there's going to be a wrestling season. Maybe that's just me being the ultimate optimist. I do. I believe there's going to be a wrestling season. I believe January 1 would be the start date. But again, I don't know for sure. And I don't I can tell you this, we're probably not wrestling in November and December. So, which is okay. It should be a second semester sport anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of where our sport was heading towards anyway. I like that, man. I think the season's pretty long. I think it would benefit growth within our college athletes, maybe avoid some injuries, because it's a long season. It's September. You get through in the doors of college into your dorms as a freshman, and you don't really have time to settle in. It's 1 week free, 2 weeks free, and then it's time to work and time to go accomplish what you want to accomplish as a wrestler. So I think the second semester pushback could create that time period maybe for more growth in the sport, especially as a freshman or redshirt freshman, younger in their careers. You know, sometimes you have to just go push, get in shape because it's time to compete in late October, November when you wrestle off in October. So there's not enough time to grow.
And I think you're right. I think that's why everybody, especially the young kids coming in, that's why they struggle that first semester academically. I think that's why a lot of kids get sick. They're just not used to living that lifestyle, doing what they want to be a college student too. They want to enjoy college a little bit, and the guys who do it better than others end up being successful. But there's so much more that goes into it. If we could just ease into it, and then we don't always have to train so darn hard in July and August, right? Like we're up against it, and I don't know why we do that anyway, but we go hard in July and August because we know we're getting ready for our preseason in September, and before you know it, we're wrestling November 1st. So I think this would be good. Somebody asked here, does it stick permanently? I know that's where college coaches want to go with it. It's always been that way. I don't know why they haven't pulled that trigger. Just makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's day by day right now, like we're all saying. We don't know, we're getting fed information and we're not the ones making decisions, but we're just doing the best we can day to day, doing what we can do to get better, get our team better, get our teammates better. But we had our other guest, Willie Saylor, was going to come on for us, analyst for Rockfin, former analyst for Flow Wrestling a couple years back, but he had some complications, so I think he's going to try to join us next week, hopefully. But he had to back out last second. Any information on that? Good though.
No, just he's got something going on with Flow. He's not allowed to be on a podcast. I don't know. When we talked to him yesterday, I think he might have thought he was just calling in, and then when I sent him what it kind of looks like, he was like, "Oh man, I can't do that." So we'll get him on once this whole thing clears. Maybe if we had a little bit more time, we could set it up where he could just do a call in. But yeah, I kind of wanted to hear from him, and he's I called him the most controversial guy in college wrestling, or even in wrestling in general. And that guy's got his finger on the pulse of everything going on wrestling, and he has some tremendous ideas, and he comes about it in a little bit different way than most, and he's not afraid to speak what's on his mind.
Yeah,
but
and he has
got knowledge, man.
He's got some really good takes on the current situation. Not that it's great, but he said something about a couple weeks ago about Ivy Leagues being in danger. Ivy Leagues get shut down for the fall. Stanford gets program cut. It's like he kind of sees these things coming and he has these takes and then they come true. So it's like you got to respect his knowledge. And I was curious to get him on. I know I was talking to him I know he's on the show a little bit about the Stanford situation because on Twitter it seems like he's down pretty well. I was curious, like, say Stanford Wrestling raises this money to save their program. Is the university allowed to just let one sport come back, or does all 11 sports have to come back with it? Are they even looking? I mean, are they even looking for those sports to come back, or is it an education decision? It seemed like Willie had a lot of those answers. So I think they had to get him on.
Yeah. I watched him on Twitter. I just think, and it's only what I see, right? But I think it might not have anything to do with money. It might have nothing to do with money. 36 teams is a lot of teams, but then again, it's Stanford, and they've been doing it for a long, long time. So I don't know if they get somebody to put up $20 million. Does that matter?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
That's what I think. That's what
and Willie for some reason, Willie gets on the inside of this stuff.
Yeah, I want to know how he gets that through it. Who's
there?
I want to know how he gets on the inside of it. I got a question from James in the comments. Yeah. Is the delay of college season any kind of opportunity for Anthony to get in more training with top college wrestlers this fall? For sure, yeah. I think that's always the opportunity to get with the top guys, and any opportunity that I could get with a great wrestler or great coach, I try to take those opportunities up if they make sense and they work for me. So even with the delay of college season or not the delay of college season, I think that I'm going to be looking to get the best partners and get around the best guys within the sport, no matter what the situation is. So that's something I'm always looking forward to. With the cauliflower, the AirPod doesn't stay.
Yeah, and we've had a couple good.
No, it fell right out.
I can't even see your pick on this end for some reason, but that's okay. But we've had some really good goes the last couple weeks, and there've been some really good college guys coming in to wrestle with our guys. So that's been fun. I know you're always down for some of those. You've got so many opportunities to go train other places, and even before this whole Stanford thing came out, you have opportunities to go out there and train with Kerry, which I think everybody aspiring to win Olympic golds and world golds and world medals, you need to kind of maybe leave your comfort zone a little bit and train with other people and train with other coaches. I always think that's good. So I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot more of that as we go here. I don't know what's going to happen with the OTC, but you've been out there. That's just something you gear up for that. Is that something you really look forward to? Like, this is a great opportunity to spend a week or spend some more time in another place.
Yeah, I love going out there for a week at a time and mixing it up, because you get to kind of go with a new partner every day. So it's nice. It's nice to have that variety, and also it's like nice to test yourself, man. You're like, last time I went out there, it was the first time I was kind of wrestling live since getting hurt against James Green. And I remember it was match day, and I was looking forward to wrestling James Green. Like, you get those opportunities. So you get the chance to also be friends with those kind of guys and learn a little bit about their personalities. Like, most of them are just normal, good people. I'd say all of them, but I'm still getting to know some of them. I'm younger than a lot of them, but for the most part, everyone's a great guy, and they're chasing the same goals. They're just maybe doing it a little bit different, but some of them have families, some of them have wives. They're good people, and it's cool to get to know their story. It's influencing to know their story or get to know little things about their lives, what they're doing differently, and things they're studying or things they're reading or podcasts they're watching. I try to pick everyone's brains at those kind of camps and just take maybe 1 to 2 to 3 things back with me that I could implement into my lifestyle, not just wrestling wise. But just to remind,
who's some of the coaches when you go on those trips?
Yeah, well,
Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, I could hear you. I could hear you fine. I think it's all good. I think maybe it's just within our connection. The head coach is Bill Zadek of the USA team. Yep. So you go out to those camps.
But who are some of the coaches? Yeah, you go out.
Yeah, you go out there. Kerry McCoy, we've been out there last year since he's not been coaching with Maryland. Kevin Jackson's there now. You got Coach Buxton in when the camps are coming in a lot of the times. Joe Russell. And you also sometimes you got like guys like Coach Schneider at Nebraska, or Coach Manning coming with Burroughs and Green, or different college coaches that the guys are really close with. If there's a competition like Pan American Games and it's a qualifying event, those guys are bringing their coaches as well. So even though you got all the Olympic staff, they're bringing their own personal coaches, because it's game time, man. They have a lot on the line, some of them, and they're professionals. So it's like they have a system in how they work out. Sometimes it'll be the OTC camp, but it'll be Kyle Dake doing his own workout, even though it's practice time. It's like you get some of those kind of things where these guys are 30 years old. They're professionals. They have it figured out. Even though they're showing up to camp, Coach Zadek has a lot of trust in the guys that aren't, like Kyle Dake's world champ. So if he feels he's going to be more confident doing functional patterns this day instead of wrestling and taking the day off, he's going to let him do that. If David Taylor needs to go lift with Training Lab that day, he's getting his workout in, they're going to let him do that. So those things are cool to see too, because it's not always about grind. Some of these guys are smarter in their tactics. And, I definitely took that in, because for the most part, I put my head down and worked. So seeing some of the better guys, hey, I need a day off. I need to hit the weight room. I need a day off. I need to work on my flexibility today, or my stretch, or hit some PT with the trainer, get a massage. So it's also cool to see those kind of things when you're out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a reminder, you guys could come
speaking
on
of those guys, those world-class athletes.
What's up? Go ahead. No, I was saying just a reminder.
I said I wanted to just yeah. I'm losing you a little bit.
Just a reminder for our fans, we're going to finish up here. But if anyone wants to call in and join us live, you could download the FanCred app and click on the green live FanCred button, fan line button, to come on air live with us, Coach Goodell and I. Ask us a live question, or just say hi, say what's up, say what's on your mind, say you enjoyed having Ray come on and talk, whatever it may be. But we got a comment from Mike here. Some talented NJ high school guys at the King of the Ring today in Indiana. I'm unaware of that event. So do you know anything about the King of the Ring event in Indiana? I think it's like a high school or a youth event, possibly.
I saw Nomad tweeting about that. I don't know who's going to that. How are you allowed to go to that?
I'm
that's
not sure.
No, I don't. I'm
Yeah. Also, I don't
Yeah,
even
I'm
want to.
not sure how they're able to wrestle so early, especially out.
Yeah, if, I don't have the details on it, so I don't really want to speak on it. I don't know how they're doing it, but we got some events going on in New Jersey coming up in August with freestyle. So uh, I think it'd probably be a similar situation. Set the mats up in a really big place like Sportica and kind of spread the mats out, keep the teams in their masks, maybe 6 feet apart when they're not wrestling, or temperature check, COVID pre-test before the tournament. I don't really know the details of it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I know we're going to be wrestling soon though, because people are starting to wrestle. And the card that you were on, there's been some additions to that card. I think Sammy's going to actually wrestle Vito. That announcement will probably be coming soon. I saw Jack Mueller's going to wrestle RBY. That's good. And then, of course, you got Downey Taylor and Chamizo and Dake. Who wins that match, Chamizo or Dake?
I don't know. I'm excited to watch it. I don't want to make a pick. Who do you think?
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Who do you think?
Man, I don't know if Dake's just too big. Dake might be too big, but I just can't imagine. As slick as Chamizo is, I just think Dake's too big and powerful, and
yeah,
just seems like he's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Yeah, they're both very confident in their abilities, so I think it'll be pretty exciting. I think it'll be kind of like Dake getting in on shots and scramble situations. So I'm excited to see it. I'm also excited to see Downey Taylor because Downey's a tough dude, man. As much as people think Taylor, he's got a lot of pride for himself, and I think he's gonna need to be getting dragged off the mat to be getting teched, in my opinion. I think, not saying David Taylor's not good enough to tech him. He's very talented, but I really think Pat's the kind of kid, he talks all this up, that he's gonna make sure he shows up with his best effort because he's talking. It's gonna make him wrestle extra hard. And man, I've seen him scrap. He could scrap. I don't know why he was the world team member and only one guy wasn't in the weight class. Not every other guy. He beat guys like Miles Martin, Heflin, and all those dudes at 86 kilograms. I mean, he's not a slouch. So I'm excited to see him. I'm kind of hoping that he stands his ground a little bit, man, and proves something for himself, because a lot of people are counting him out and not expecting it.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, the dude can scrap. We saw him the other day. He was in Wednesday. He came to club practice, and he looks good, man. He looks lean. And he trained really hard. Yeah. So we'll see. He's going to have to keep up with a hell of a pace, right? It's going to be a hell of a pace, and he's got to manage those first 3 minutes, and then like you said, turn it into I don't know if you really want to scramble with him, but get to his upper body locks and just get playing in there. And it's a hard thing to do, right? It's easier said than done, but hopefully he makes it really, really hard. And he's really, really stingy, and he's prepared, because Taylor's coming. He's going to come for 6 hard minutes. We know that.
For sure. I agree. I saw something on Twitter yesterday that Pat was saying that he's eating clean, down the weight, and David's like, we get 3.5 kilograms, bro. He's like, I'm close to weight, I'm floating right around. And then David's like, we get 3.5 kilograms. That's it's almost 10 pounds. So that's just funny. Pat's really good at hyping the event up. So, for as much as people are looking at Pat that maybe dislike him or on the other side of him, he's a showman. He's hyping the event up. He's doing everything he can to make his brand and name as big as possible and benefit himself from it in the long run, I believe. So there is some things that he might press send a little too quick on Twitter or Instagram, but he is a showman and he's promoting himself as best as he can.
Yeah, no doubt about it. People are watching him, right? They're watching him for a reason. He's got the interest of a lot of people, whether it's good or bad. And I've heard that before too. Any news is good news. And if you're following wrestling because of him, then so be it. And he's not afraid to speak his mind. And he crosses it a little bit. He gets over the line a little bit, but you just got to reel him back in. And he understands what we're trying to do. So we've had those conversations with him, and we go about it a little bit differently, but you're right. There's a small window where you can really build this brand, and he uses the platform to the fullest for sure.
Yeah, he does. He does the best he can with it. We got another comment about that King of the Ring tournament. Jimmy Mullen and Alex Almeida and other St. Joe's kids, as well as the Barton kids at the King of the Ring. That's cool, man. Great that those kids are competing. I love Jimmy Mullen as a freshman heavyweight state champ. I love his knock buys to ankle picks. A lot of stuff I'm doing, he's doing at heavyweight, which is cool to see. He's going to be an exciting wrestler. I'm looking forward to seeing him grow. Hopefully, wanting to do special things in the state of New Jersey in his future, but he's really young still. I'm just excited to see what he does as a wrestler. I'm sure he's killing it out there.
I obviously can't comment on those guys just because of rules, but I'm glad they're wrestling. I'm glad they're back there competing and wrestling, and that's good. That's good for the sport. I can't believe it's happening this quick, especially out in Indiana.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see how that goes. How well, is it even attended? Who attends it? Can you have fans in there? I'm anxious to see all that.
Yeah. And New Jersey, you're not involved, but SKWC I saw is putting a team into a New Jersey tournament on August 15th down in Manalapan, New Jersey at Sportica. Do you have any insight on what that event will look like?
Just a dual meet tournament. Yeah, freestyle dual meet tournament. That's all I've heard. I know there's a bunch of teams getting signed up. So Kyle Kiss and Joe Pollard are really behind the scenes on all that stuff. So, they're kind of the infancy stages, but I've seen it all on Twitter and Instagram, and teams are getting in. I think teams are dying to wrestle. So teams from all over too, not just Jersey. So that'll be a good event.
Yeah, I saw David Taylor's club involved, Triumph
They're
involved.
coming?
Triumph and SKWC as well. So those are three great teams that should draw a lot of connections to a lot of other clubs around the state or around the country, not just state.
Around the country.
That could be a really cool event.
Bring the PA boys in here, man. Bring some of those PA boys in here.
Is there going to be any live stream of that event?
I don't know. I don't think they've got that far yet. I hope so though.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go to it, but
we'll see. It's going to be a new way to start recruiting athletes. I guess it's going to be looking at old stuff. Maybe some of those tournaments, maybe going to some of those tournaments now and making those dual tournaments a priority, because you don't know if you're going to have those college or that high school season like a normal season.
No, you're right. So I'll leave you with this. Here's my last argument on wrestling compared to basketball, right? They're like, it's the most dangerous sport with this COVID. It's the most dangerous sport. So here's the argument. I get to wrestle you for 7 minutes. You check your temperature, I check mine. You get tested, I get tested. We're both negative. We wrestle for 7 minutes. If you're playing a basketball game, you're guarding a guy for 2 hours. Then you're guarding the sub for 2 hours. Then you're hitting the screen for 2 hours. It's constant with all different people, subbing in, subbing out. Wrestling, 7 minutes. Me and you off the mat. Go quarantine. That's the way I look at it.
So what are you going to wrestle? One match every 8 days? Quarantine 7 days? Make sure you get no signs?
Yeah, wrestle a match, 7 minutes. Get tested again on Monday. Come back and do it again Friday night. 7 minutes.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. My head also started going to kind of what Willie Saylor was saying about wrestling moving to international setup where it would be like a lot of clubs and maybe competitions through clubs, which is interesting to me. Like you could transition most of the wrestling funding of wrestling Division I funding, I feel like comes from donors and extra alumni. It's not coming from the university, the funding. So to be able to do that, you could probably transfer those donors, those alumni to the club foundation. And now you start running these clubs, maybe make teams out of these clubs, and you could kind of do something different than the NCAA, get rid of the middleman, and maybe that's something that the future is going to look like.
It does.
That's what the international wrestling styles do. They have a bunch of clubs in different towns, and people kind of just go to the club like it's a gym, like it's a weightlifting gym. Like you go to the club to get your wrestling workout, and some of the guys in the club are world class, and some of them aren't that great. But that could be a system we're looking at moving forward with the way things are going. I of course want to see everything the same, and I wish they could just be like, hey, we're back to normal tomorrow, but
probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
Well, listen, I got my workout partner. Volok made the trip down. We're going to go lift some weights. I got Z-Man ready to go.
Yeah, is that Zach
training session?
Is that Zach poking his head in, rushing you a little bit right
Yeah,
here?
he's poking his head like, let's go. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna
How's
go get training with these guys.
how's Zach doing? Is he getting nervous about football? Maybe.
He doesn't say it much, but who knows? I think
Yeah.
so. I think there's a little anxiety there, but
Yeah.
those guys are training. That team's practicing a little bit. They
I,
get together. They have captains practices. They're awesome.
yeah. I seen him out there. Were you out there with them throwing him some passes the other day?
I went out there for a little bit just to play around, just to check it out.
You let him take over the Instagram.
Yeah, I didn't let him. He took my phone and started playing on it. So.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you have
gotta
an
be
awesome
careful.
week. I know. Have an awesome week. Stay in touch. Stay healthy. I keep saying I got to get over there. I'll get over there for sure. I want to come see Mikey and Jalen. So
Sounds good, man.
but
Yeah.
enjoy the week. All right, brother.
Sounds good. Have a good one,
All right,
Goody.
my man.